Our correspondent Ramin Mazari joins us from Paris. Also joining us is John Busnich, journalist, activist, and political analyst from Belgrade. Okay, welcome to you both. Ramin, first over to you. The biggest question that lies in my mind, I don't know if you can answer this, is whether the French are really going to give up fighting for their rights, because I'm guessing they think if we give up here, then we might, the government might want to push through legislation again on something else, and therefore we have to really fight to the bone and teeth to keep this.
Well, I think that your credit is a good one, mainly because it sort of implicitly recognizes that the French have a revolutionary period, and this is something that is absolutely rare in the West. It really requires a modern revolution like they had in 1789 to really have this civic-minded spirit. So I think that really any French people watching, they should be sort of proud of themselves that even after such a long-running failure, that many people are still expecting them fairly to keep protesting. However, I would say that it's probably over for now. This is something that I have seen here in 13 years covering France. They could have protesters could have all the momentum in the world, and especially unions. But if summer vacation comes around or Christmas vacation comes around, everything gets put on a pause, and it happens so with such guaranteed regularity. It's really sort of amazing that the French people don't sort of excuse me, that they really sort of don't see this coming. There's just the French protesters, they have this great spirit to keep going and to keep fighting. It's rather important to say that even though the retirement age was being raised by 2 years, it's really only going to dramatically impact people who didn't graduate from university and who started working very, very soon, very, very early in their life. So many people were out there protesting for something, that isn't really going to affect them. Many college-age people, to get a full pension, they have to keep working until 64, 65 anyway. But there is this spirit. But what's happening now is tomorrow they are going to have to talk about this in Parliament, and it is going to be very, very embarrassing for French democracy. But French people have been talking about this upcoming day tomorrow to me for 5-6 weeks. Many of them really have a lot of illusions about what liberal democracy is. And even though this is not the first time that Macron has used 49.3, it's his predecessor Francois Hollande used it as well. Even though this is not the first time that unions have totally failed to keep pressure on. For example, Tuesday's million-person march was the first one in 5 weeks. Where were they? It's not the first time that the Constitutional Council, France's highest court, sided with autocratic measures. But still, many people have been talking to me that we're just going to get that vote in in the lower house on Thursday the 8th, and that's going to really discredit things, because everybody knows that even if they did vote on it, and even if it did pass, their upper chamber, their House of Lords, their Senate, is going to shoot it down. So there's a lot of sort of very admirable spirit, revolutionary spirit, political activism, however you want to talk about it. But then there's also a really, really short memory, because every spring since 2010, there has been this type of anti-austerity protest, and it's had the same result, a loss for the people here in France ever since. And what we're in now very clearly is the age of austerity part 2.
Okay. Well, John Busnich, this article that our correspondent mentioned, 49.3, is what the president can use to push through the laws that he wants to enact without really getting the vote, which has been really one of the reasons where democracy is not playing a role when it comes to the French, since they didn't have a say in this. Do you think, and I'm asking almost the same question that I asked a correspondent from you, that the French are going to, that this is going to come out in another way in terms of protests or demonstrations, because the French may think, well, if they're going to do this now, they might do it again for something that's especially economy related?
Well, I think that I wouldn't count French out. Absolutely not. I think that I've studied and lived in Paris, and I can tell you that this is a critical issue. I have a large number of French friends who are angry about this. The pension that people are getting in France is already a low one compared to many other countries. The situation now is just ripe for the kind of uprising that France is known for. The student rebellion in 1968 took place in May. The storming of the Bastille was in July the 14th. So these are the months of the year in which the French people get angry and express themselves. I think that all this means now is that the French people know that there's a deadline. There's the month of August when people are not in Paris, and this has got to come to a head. I think we're going to see a lot more wild response than many people are expecting from the French people.
Ramin, how much of an impact has this had on lawmakers within Parliament in terms of it being a divisive issue? Are we seeing the backlash from them and coming out against what has happened?
Well, this is something that I, predicted in my book last year, Francis Yellowvest's Western Repression of the West's Best Values. What's going to happen during Macron's era is that he has a majority in Parliament. It's not the absolute majority he had in his first term, when he could just absolutely shut down every sort of, any actual discussion, mere discussion. But when you combine his majority with the Conservative Party on every issue of far-right economics, on every issue of economic austerity, these two are going to combine to force it through. They are going to, they can turn to 49-3, and they know that they can survive any sort of no confidence vote. So Macron still has ideological domination of the National Assembly, and certainly of the Senate. One thing that I can toss in here is that this fall Macron is going to turn his sights on the welfare system, and it's going to be something very similar to the pension plan for this spring. This is something that not everybody uses, but it's something that the French have been inculcated with their revolutionary history to know that liberty, equality, fraternity, and you're going to see major protests to try and protect the rights of people who can't find enough work, not just any work, but of course underemployment is rather sort of the issue of our time in terms of labor relations. So, and then it's going to be we're going to be at the exact same place where we are right now, where liberal democracy, Western liberal democracy, is going to absolutely be able to ignore public opinion when it comes to policymaking. That right there is why the yellow vest got set off. That was in 2018. Is France going to be able to have something like that? Truly a once in a century, reform movement, which was so committed, so civic minded, something that easily surpassed the violence of 1968. Well, I mean, that's we can't really predict it, but we can certainly hope that it happens, and many French people are, I'm sure.
Thank you very much. Well, unfortunately, I have to leave it there for lack of time. Ramin Massari from Paris, John Busnich, journalist, activist, and political analyst from Belgrade. Thank you to you both. And with that, we come to an end for this edition of the News Review. Thanks for tuning in.